from PRX.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary. It's time for a podcaster who just, like, I was going to record an intro for another, this is super meta, but I was going to record an intro for one type of episode. And then I just thought, has there ever been a spinoff of This Old House called This Old Boat? And then I said, I don't remember one. And I said, well, better do an episode about it then. Because that sounds like incredibly like in Sleep With Me-esque. So probably at some point, like in the, 20 minutes from now, I may be talking about This Old Boat, but I'll probably talk about it sooner, and then I'll go off top. You see, you never even mentioned boats or old boats at all, Scoots. And I'd say, Scoots, what's your favorite old boat? And I'd say, well, the boat in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I wanted to see it. A lot of people said, well, I want that Bucky cut with Bucky and Sarah, but I want to see the boat cut. Like, I want to see that boat, like, out in the ocean or the harbor, please. And I wanted to see if it was named or renamed to something, because I say, well, I have a couple ideas from the arc of the season. So anyway, but what am I talking about? It's time for Sleep With Me podcast to put you to sleep. All right, everybody, it's time to talk about tonight's sponsor, Helix Sleep. And I'm excited to tell you about my Helix mattress. I took the Helix quiz after I moved at helixsleep.com/sleep. And I got matched with an amazing mattress that fits my sleep needs, my feel preferences, and every winter night I'm cuddled up in there. I am so cozy. How about you and your mattress? Do you have that kind of same relationship where every night you say, "Hey, boo, I can't wait to see you," like a mattress that fits your needs? What do you want in a mattress? What's going to make you comfortable so that you could drift off into dreamland? That's what Helix has figured out, because you go to helixsleep.com/sleep. You take that Helix quiz. Helix matches you with the perfect mattress based on your personal preferences and sleep needs. It makes buying a mattress so easy. It brings such peace of mind. Helix mattresses are award-winning beds, not just my favorites, but they've been tested and reviewed by experts like Forbes and Wired. And that Helix mattress comes straight to your door. Free shipping in the U.S., and I know I'm sleeping good in my Helix. I just don't know about you and the mattress you have right now. Maybe it is time for an upgrade. And now is the perfect time, because, of course, Helix has a deal for our listeners. Go to helixsleep.com/sleep for 27% off site-wide during their President's Day sale. Now through March 1st. This offer is exclusive for listeners of Sleep With Me. That's helixsleep.com/sleep for this exclusive offer, 27% off site-wide. Make sure you enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. helixsleep.com/sleep. Thanks, everybody.
Museums are more than places we visit on a field trip. Across the country, museums protect our shared history, care for wildlife and collections, strengthen local economies, support job training, and spark curiosity in people of all ages. Right now, you can help make sure museums stay strong for future generations. Museum Advocacy Day is a national moment when people contact Congress to ask for continued support for museums and the federal agencies that fund them. Learn how to take action at aam-us.org and tell your representatives that museums matter to education, to communities, to the economy, and to our democracy.
All right, everybody, this is Scooch here. This is a message for all night listeners. So if you listen to more than one episode a night, pay attention. Before I get to that, if you're new, if you only listen occasionally, if you're just going through a tough time, or you're not in a place financially where you could support the show, don't worry about it. We got you. Supporters like Melissa that we're going to talk about here have you. But if you're an all-night listener, and I'm here with you 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 episodes a night, You know, I love making this podcast. We put a lot of work into each of those episodes you listen to every single night. And the only reason multiple episodes come out every week is because of the people like Melissa who support the show. And when people like Melissa sign up, I send them a video to find out why they supported the show. Because if you're an all-night listener, it's either you supporting the show or it's another all-night listener supporting the show for you. Maybe their why is stronger. Maybe they just happen to be paying attention. Or there's nights where there's no all-night listeners supporting the show, right? And that makes it really tough to keep the show going. Now, if you decide to support the show right now, you can do that at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus, because that's what Melissa did. Melissa had been listening over 2 years, nearly nightly. And the show helps me so much. I finally subscribed when I realized that most nights I didn't have my phone with me, but I could recite the entire beginning of the podcast. At first it was a cost, but now I'm financially able to do so. But the other part was complacency. I think I was forgetting to do so, and then I'd fall asleep. I've always been one of those super listeners described on the show who kept putting it off. But I think you say it well in the podcast. The show has given me so much support and help. It's time to turn around and support you and the team. It feels nice to feel like we have a hand in keeping it afloat. So thanks, Melissa. If you're the Melissa tonight, maybe you're an all-night listener, or maybe you're some other kind of super listener, I'd love to hear your why of why you support the show. So make sure to reply to that video when I send it out. And you could sign up right now at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. Oh, Mystery Bard. A lot of people help out on the show. Who are they?
Chris Posty Poster Son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes. Carl W. the Legend. Also edits episodes. Ashley, Kenny, Scotty, Jennifer. Runner. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at JonathanMann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support your scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance. Rusty Biscuit, Lois, Anna like banana. Leah does the transcripts.
Thanks, Mystery Bard. And hey, the thing I've been talking about lately is like there's ways to support the show beyond the sponsors and supporting the show directly. If you're an occasional listener, right? If you're a new listener or you can't afford to support the show, follow the show on your podcast app of choice. Make sure to like or comment if your app allows that, and say hi. Spread the word about the show in person when it comes up, or let people know about it. Go ahead right now. Follow the show on your podcast app right now. Then you get the latest episodes and stuff like that. Great. Yes, spread the word when you can, or sign up for. We're relaunching our referral program. It's going to be based with like live stream get-togethers every once in a while. We're going to make it more fun. You could sign up for that. Sleepwithmepodcast.com/refer. REFER. Thanks, and what do you say we get down with the show? Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts or feelings or physical sensations, so things on your mind, maybe from the past, the present, or the future, or that are just, they're popping up. It could be physical sensations, it could be emotions or feelings, it could be a change in your schedule or your routine or your work, or you maybe just work a second or third shift, or one of the many other shifts I've invented. whatever it is, it sounds like you're here because you need some company in the deep, dark night, and that's really what I'm here for. I'm here to keep you company. I'm so glad you're here, and to take your mind off of stuff while you fall asleep. And so what I'm trying to establish, I guess, is a safe place where where you feel comfortable enough not to listen to me. And believe me, if you listen to me for more than 5 minutes, you say, oh, wait, you're right. I don't really need to. And I'd say it's fine, because your first reaction might be, well, he's not making any sense. Should I listen till he starts? And I say, no need to listen to me at all. You can listen. So here's the thing. I got this safe place. I'm going to smooth it. I'm going to pat it. I'm going to rub it down. Then I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones. Creaky, dulcet tones, a little bit different than what you expect. They may take some getting used to, but for the regular listeners, they say, okay, I did need something a little bit different. And you say, Scoots, that's you're more than a little bit different. And I'd say, yeah, aren't we all? Oh, so shall we all, or whatever so say we all are a little bit different, and that's so good. I also, you pointless meanders, superfluous tangents. It means I'm going to get mixed up. I'm going to use filler words, go off topic, keep rambling, get lost in my own ovular logic. They called it circuitous logic, but I said mine's more ovular or ellipsis. Like I say, is that an ellipsis? Did my brain just go in an ellipsis? And they say, no, when I think that was an eclipse. I'd say hardy har brain. So if you're new, I want to give you some information up front because it's my job to kind of earn your trust and to make you feel comfortable. So if you're doubtful or skeptical, first thing first, that's totally normal and should be expected. I'd say bravo, because you've probably been tossing and turning and tried other stuff. And, it's vulnerable listening to a sleep podcast. Now, I will tell you, this podcast does not work for everybody. Probably doesn't even work for the majority of people that try it, but I really do hope it works for you. There are a lot of other sleep podcasts you could check out at sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you. But I can tell you, I've been doing this show, but when I record this I've recorded over 1,000 episodes, and most listeners that became regular listeners over the years, since 2013, there's people that have been listening that whole time. They said, yeah, it took 2 or 3 tries for me to get used to you, or it took me listening once, strongly disliking the podcast, coming back a few months later, giving it another try. So just kind of see how it goes. That's one thing. And you say, well, that's really a way to sell your podcast. I say, well, it's the truth, right? But there's even more stuff you probably want to know if you're new. And if you're a regular listener, what up? How about that? This was supposed to be a one kind of episode, and now we're going to talk about old boats, maybe. I don't even know, will this be a personal essay style episode, or what am I going to be talking about? So, okay, so so if you're new, though, what are other things you know? One, I make this show for 2 reasons. I've been there, tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble, getting to sleep, trouble, staying asleep. I got all of those, and I know how it feels there in the deep, dark night. So that's the first part. The second thing is that you deserve a good night's sleep. Your sleep is important, and you deserve a place you could rest and a bedtime that you don't dread. A bedtime that you feel neutral about. You say, well, at least I got that sleep podcast to listen to. He'll be goofing around. And he how did he miss that? The name, how did he not see maybe he didn't watch the post-credits scene on Falcon and Winter Soldier to see the boat out in the ocean. But, or maybe, I don't know. But so, what was my point? You deserve a good night's sleep. And if you can get the sleep you need, maybe you could, your life's a little bit easier. Maybe you're a little bit more engaged. Maybe you can be in a place where you could flourish. And if your life's better, everybody's life's better. It's just a real fact. Some people dismiss that, but if your life's a little bit better, if you're a little bit rested, our world really is a better place. So that's why I make the show. Other things to know if you're new that really throw new listeners off. Oh, this is a podcast you don't really listen to. You just kind of barely pay attention to it. That can be really hard at first to kind of passively listen to someone rambling. And you might be wondering, when does it get started, or where is this thing going? I'd say, well, it's not going anywhere, and it already started and stopped a few times. So just kind of consume it like you would if you were looking at clouds or listening to something in the back. Like, I don't know. For me, it's like sports. You see, like sometimes, not recently, but I want to start putting baseball on again and not paying attention. I gotta start listening to baseball in the background again so I can not pay attention, but it soothes me. Or train videos on YouTube, but during the day, I need a lot of soothing, and that was one thing I was using in late 2020 and early 2021. So this podcast is kind of like that, something to have in the background to keep you company. It also does not put you to sleep. It keeps you company while you drift off. I take your mind off stuff. That's why the episodes are over an hour, so you have plenty of time to fall asleep. And if you can't sleep, I'm here. My job's to keep you company whether you're listening or not. So if you're listening and you need me, I'm going to be here too. I don't even know what I'll be talking about, but I'll be present here for you because that's important. That's really the whole show. Other things, if you're new, that can throw you off is the structure of the show. And the show's structured very intentionally to meet our goals, to help as many people, to be there for free twice a week, and to kind of help ease people into bedtime. So the show starts off with a greeting so you feel welcome and seen. Then there's listener support. Then there's sponsors and support for the show. That's how we put it out twice a week. Then there's the intro. The intro is usually, I've been trying to get them in around 12 minutes, but they always seem to go a bit longer. So the intro is between 10 and 20 minutes long. And the intro is really a show within a show to ease you into bedtime so you could start winding down. And you can, as you become a regular listener, you can kind of figure out what works best for you. But what works for getting used to the show is like if the first few times is maybe putting the show on as you're getting ready for bed or as you're doing something wind down activity, even if it's making your bed or drawing or, you know, looking through a magazine. I don't know. People people don't do that anymore, but, you know, knitting or just sitting around chilling. And so the intro just gives you a little bit of distance from the day. And I don't know, regular listeners, there's a small percentage of people that skip the intros. And then there's this percentage of listeners that fall asleep during the intros. But for the most part, the listeners are either in bed getting comfortable or doing something else to chill out and wind down. So that's why the intro is like 10 to 20 minutes long. The variety is just my inability to be concise and to go on rambles. You never know. I say, well, I could plan out 10 minutes and talk for 25. And that kind of serves the purpose of the show. That's where my natural skill set comes in of not being able to get to the point. So that's the intro. Then there's business between the intro and the show. Those are the sponsors that enable us to be here for you twice a week for free. Then there'll be a story. Tonight, I guess it'll be a story about this old boat. I don't know if it'll be this old boat or this old boats because I haven't recorded it yet, but I'm excited now. I don't know, like Bob V. Oh, I can't even say it. Bob V. You see, those are words I can't pronounce. Villa, right? Bob Villa? Like Bob Villa. I don't think people would say Villa, but it's Bob Villa. Villa? I don't know. Bob Villa. Well, so I thought that would be easier for me to say, but apparently my mouth can't say it. So that's easy to avoid. I said we'll probably be overusing that term, but not if we can't say it. So we'll talk about that, and then there's some thank yous at the end of the show. So that's how the show works. That's why it's here for you. And that's kind of what you expect. You're just rambling in a friendly voice in the deep, dark night to keep you company, take your mind off stuff. I'm really glad you're here. I really work hard on this show. I yearn and I strive. I really want to help you fall asleep. And these are the ways I'm able to be here for you for free twice a week. All right, everybody, it's time to talk about tonight's sponsor, ZocDoc. And raise your hand if you're a bit of a procrastinator like me. You put off setting up that dental cleaning appointment, or honestly, any kind of appointment, or even like searching for making an appointment, figuring out even how to do that. It's not easy, right? You want to put it off because there's a lot of barriers, it seems like, to making it easy. And here's the thing. I'm so happy that we work with ZocDoc now because I have new insurance. And I know right now in my hands I have the ZocDoc app. Oh, by the way, ZocDoc is a free app and website that helps you find and book high-quality in-network doctors so you can find someone you love. And we're talking about booking in-network appointments with over 150,000 providers across all 50 states. Whether you're looking for dermatology, dentistry, primary care, eye care, or one of the other 200-plus specialties offered on ZocDoc, you can easily search by specialty or symptom to build the care team that's right for you. And it's so easy to use. I'm using it right now. I just put in my insurance information. I'm looking for a new dentist. So I can search through here. I can start reading the reviews. They're verified patient reviews, so I can get a sense, hey, am I comfortable with this person? Then I can get the appointment set up right in the app. No calling, no waiting on hold. So if ZocDoc makes my life that easy, think about what it could do for you. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/sleep to find and instantly book a doctor you love today. That's ZocDoc.com/sleep. ZocDoc.com/sleep. Thanks, ZocDoc, for sponsoring this message. Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is the second time you get to hear me say that. Welcome, because this episode is constructed from an intro from the past and our Read With Me episodes here. It's a Frankie and Victor episode with our friend Frank and his, so I'm reading from the book Victor and Frankie, also known as a famous Mary Shelley novel. And this is a little bit different than episodes we've done with Sleep With Me, but we tested this out on Sleep With Me Plus. It was so popular, we wanted to bring it to everyone. So it's me reading through a book, also paraphrasing, making stuff sleepy, but it's not perfectly sleepy. I mean, just like everything else we make, you know. It exists within this world, but it's pretty chill. So I hope you enjoy it. And without further ado, more of Victor and Frankie. Thanks, everybody. Chapter 21. I was soon introduced into the presence of the magistrate, an old benevolent man with calm and mild manners. He looked upon me, however, with some degree of severity. And then, turning towards my conductors, he asked who appeared as witnesses on this occasion. About a half a dozen people came forward, and one being selected by the magistrate, he deposed that he had been out fishing the night before with his son and brother-in-law, Daniel Nugent. When about 10 o'clock, they observed a strong northerly wind rising, and they accordingly put in for port. It was a very dark night, as the moon had not yet risen. They did not land at the harbor, but, as they had been accustomed, at a creek about 2 miles below. He walked on at first, carrying a part of the fishing tackle, and his companions followed him at some distance. As he was proceeding along the sands, he struck his foot against something and fell at his length on the ground. His companions came up to assist him, and by the light of their lantern, they found a cute sleeping person snuggled up so they could not see them. And even with the tripping, this person did like a thing with their mouth, but they were still deep, deep asleep. Their first supposition was that it was someone from the town that had been partying too hard. And then on examination, they said, wait a second, these clothes are not from our town. Never seen clothes like this before, except from people visiting or, people that just had gone shopping, but no one that we could think of had been on a trip. And so we said, well, that's weird. And they couldn't wake it. We tried to wake the person up. They said, hey, bub, hey, who are you? Hey, where are you? But they didn't wake up. And we thought, even though the sand is soft, I don't know, we scooped them up because they were so cute and they were going, oh, so we scooped them up and brought them to the home of a woman nearby and endeavored in vain to make them comfortable. It was a handsome man. We could see a young man, about 5 and 20 years of age, and he still was like, he's still saying cutesy words in his sleep. But it's something on the look on his face made us all gather around him. Because it looked like he had to do giant handprints on his clothing, like if someone had patted his shoulders in a greeting of goodbye. And I don't know, the person went on and on and on like that, but I stopped listening. Maybe it was that they mentioned that he was a handsome young man. I started to think about myself. So the rest of the deposition, well, that part I wasn't even listening to either, till the big hands patted on the shoulder, because he kept getting, the hands were huge. And they kind of looked like they were made of tree branches or something. I said, wait a second. Also, a lot of leaves, including leaves we don't have, like leaves everywhere, stuck to his clothes. And I said, leaves everywhere, and leaves that aren't even from the area. And I started to think about, you know what I'm saying? And I started to get a little chill, and a mist came over my eyes, which obliged me to lean on a chair for support. The magistrate observed me with a keen eye and, of course, drew an unfavorable augury from my manner. Then the guy's kid confirmed his father's account, but when Daniel Nugent was called, he swore positively that just before his companion tripped over the sleeping person, he saw a boat with a single man in it at a short distance from the shore, and as far as he could judge by the light of a few stars, it was the same boat in which I had just landed. Then a woman deposed that she lived near the beach and was standing at the door of her cottage waiting for the return of the Fisher people. And about an hour before this whole tripping over the sleeping guy, she saw a boat with only one man in it push off from that part of the shore, where like they dropped off their sleeping companion or something. Then another woman confirmed the account of the Fisher people having brought, this was the woman whose house it was, the sleeping dude into their house. And they put him in bed and they rubbed him. And they made hot drinks for him. And Daniel went into town to see because they said, maybe we need something with more caffeine to wake him up. And they tried everything, tickling, pinching, singing, loudly clapping to wake him up. And there's plenty of other people that came up concerning my landing in the boat, and they agreed upon that with the strong north wind that had arisen during the night, it was very, very possible, probable even, that I had been out in the water for many hours and had been obliged to return to the same spot from which I had departed. Besides, they observed that it had appeared that I was the one who dropped my sleeping friend off from another place, and it was likely that as I did, it did not appear... I didn't know the shore, right? And I might have put into the harbor ignorant of the distance of the town from the place where I put my sleeping friend. Mr. Kerwin, on hearing this evidence, desired that I should be taken into another room where the sleeping person was, that I might be observed spending time with the sleeping person, if it was my friend or not, and to see how I'd react. Now, this idea was probably suggested because I was already irritable, like I couldn't hide it, especially when they talked about the giant handprints and all those leaves. They'd probably never seen a person become agitated by the mention of being covered in leaves. So I was accordingly conducted by the magistrate and several other persons to the inn. I could not help being surprised by the strange coincidences that had taken place during this eventful night. But knowing that I had been conversing with several persons in the island I had inhabited about that time, the sleeping person had been discovered. See, I wasn't worried. I was perfectly tranquil as the consequences of the affair. I didn't have a word, I said, this wasn't me, but I don't know anybody that fell asleep. I didn't drop any sleeping people off. Show me a law against dropping your sleeping friends off anyway. But I didn't speak any of this because I didn't feel I needed to. That was until I entered the room where the sleeping person lay, and I was led up to them. And I could hear clearly that they were, instead of saying googly, googly, goo, they were saying goodbye, 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 goodbye. And how can I describe my sensations on hearing that clearly and beholding which I was beholding? I feel yet parched right now to speak on, nor can I reflect on the moment even now without getting a chill. The examination, the presence of the magistrate and the witnesses passed like a dream from my memory when I saw who it was sleeping, and I understood what they were saying because it was Henry Clerval snuggled up before me. I gasped for breath, and then I leapt to his bedside and took him up in my arms. And I exclaimed, wake up, my Henry. Oh, my Henry, do not say goodbye in your sleep. Do not tell me no, you with woe. You are journeying through the dream world and across to another realm. Please, Henry, don't go to your dreams because I thought I was your dream. This has happened many times before recently. And I know you think probably, and then Henry even said, soon I'll see my friends. I know they await you, dear Henry, but what about me? Clerval, my friend, my benefactor, carrier of, slowing me down or speeding me up unnecessarily. Outgoing when I didn't want to be and introverted when I wanted to be extroverted. I couldn't stand up even, they didn't understand what I was talking about, so they carried me out of the room. And then I caught a cold. I guess maybe it was something like it. I just kept talking Henry, I kept thinking I could talk Henry out of it. And then I guess this went on for 2 months of me going on and on and on. As afterwards I heard it was very confusing. And I talked about William and Justine and Clerval saying I was the one who they were walking away from, and it must be me and my fault that they walked through their dreams to another realm. Now, luckily, I had a lot of attendants, so sometimes I entreated my attendants to help me track down who had planted the seed, who was the whisperer of the dream walkers who would leave this realm. Help me find him. He's a leaf-based being, Other times I felt like the leaf. Then I said, I would say to them, I'm covered in leaves. There's leaves all about. I hear the branches rustling. The branches are calling. And most of the time, though, I spoke not in their language. So Mr. Kerwin alone could understand me. But, the way I was acting, even if you could understand me, it wasn't sensible, but it was even less sensible to them. It was sufficient to confuse every other witness to my behavior. And I kind of hoped I would get invited to join them, I said, please let me dream something sweet, that my friends are asking me to join them, but I didn't dream that. So I was more miserable than any person ever, the most miserable person in the world. If they could have given an award, historically, it would have gone to me. It should go to me. I wished I could have rest or drift into forgetfulness. And I just thought of doting parents, my doting parents, many brides waiting for me. Many youthful lovers that may have loved after me, picturing me in the bloom of health and hope. But now, wishing I was in another realm, of what materials was I made that I could thus resist all these surprises? Even though I had woe, wow, I was also impressed that despite my behavior, I could handle so much, which, like the turning of the wheel, continually renewed, both my resilience, but my need for resilience. And so I was, supposed to stick around, I guess, in this realm. And after 2 months, I found myself as awakening from a dream, lying in a room with a bed not up to my standards at all, surrounded by people I didn't even know, in a place that wasn't. I said, this place is not like, you call this an inn, man? Not by the hair of my chinny chin would I call this an inn. And it was morning, and it was when I woke to understanding. I'd forgotten the particulars of what had happened and only felt as if some great misfortune had suddenly overwhelmed me. But when I looked around and realized I wasn't free to go as I wished, that I had no servants, and I said, this place is like not up to my standards. I said it already. All flashed across my memory, and I groaned bitterly. Oh. Again, if they would give out awards, worldwide awards for groans, mine would be in the top, of historical groans, in my opinion. But my opinion could be judged against it. No other groan could hold up against mine. No other resilience against mine. But, oh boy, this woman was sleeping nearby. My great groaning, woke her up. She worked there. She was actually the wife of the person that ran this facility. And I didn't want to judge her, but looked like she spent a lot of time working. She hadn't had the luxury of servants. And I just sensed she was going to be rude to me. I was kind of judging her insides by her outsides in my experience. Because, some people have trouble sympathizing with a guy like me. They don't have my resilience, my ability to groan, my ability to need to be resilient. They don't understand what it's like to be me. But the weirdest thing was her tone expressed her entire indifference. And she addressed me in English. And the voice that she used was I recognized as one I had heard during the past months in the middle of my things. And she said, "Are you better now, sir?" I replied in the same language with a feeble voice, "I believe I am, but if it be all true, if indeed I did not dream, I wish I was still asleep and not so resilient as I am. For that matter, replied the woman, if you mean about that sleeping guy, I believe, and you wish you were sleeping, I fancy you're going to have to find a different outlook. However, that's none of my business. I'm sent to help you and help you get well. I do my duty with a safe conscience. If it were well, if everybody did that, just took care of their own business in their side of the street, it would be all well for everybody. And I said, this lady does not, I turned away from her because I said, what a unfeeling person to make a speech like that to someone like me, what I'd just been through. Didn't she know? But I felt languid and unable to reflect on all that had passed, even though I felt like she thought she knew everything and was judging me, and that all her comments were directed directly at me with ill intent, though I've been told they're not. But the whole series of my life appeared to me as a dream. I sometimes doubted if indeed it was all true, for it never presented itself to my mind with the force of reality. I mean, how could someone achieve such great heights and such low lows? As for the images that floated before me, more distinct, I got frowny, and no one was near me to soothe me with gentle voices of love. No dear hand supported me. And somebody came in the lab coat and said, okay, let's do this, this, and this. And the woman prepared things for me. But, like I said, not many people know as much as I do. And I saw utter carelessness visible in this lab coat. And in the woman, I saw something, an expression, she was trying to hide the visage, that was full of scorn for me. Who could be interested in the fate of me, right? They had already, said it was my fault. My friend slept, and then said, I'm going to keep asleep. And, but you may be judging me as they had unkindly, but these were just my first reflections. The full power of my mind had not yet come to, fully awaken so I could process all of this. And I'm giving you my story without too much editing. So that was my first reflections. But I soon learned that Mr. Kerwin was kind of kind. He gave me, apparently, this is the best room in the whole place, by far. And, it wasn't great in my opinion, but in the opinion of everybody else, this was as good as it got. And it was given to me. And they said most of the time you don't get a woman to sit at your bedside and be good for you or a lab coat at all. Now, Kerwin, if I keep in score, he didn't really come and check on me either, though he ardently desired to relieve every frown of every person. But he just didn't want to listen to me talking nonstop because people thought I wasn't making sense anyway. He came, therefore, to see that I wasn't, like I was taken well care of. His visits were short and with long intervals. Now, one day, while I was gradually recovering, I was seated in a chair, my eyes half open and my cheeks livid. Like I, was once again overcome with gloom and misery. And I often reflected, let me just sleep here. Because this world was more wretched every minute that went by. At one time, I considered whether I should not just, say, what was I going to say? Maybe I could just make something up. I mean, I thought about what was happening with Justine in the past and how she had been judged. And suddenly the door opened and Mr. Kerwin entered. His countenance expressed sympathy and compassion. He drew a chair close to mine and addressed me in French. I fear that this place is very shocking to you. Can I do anything to make you more comfortable? And I said, I thank you, but all that you mentioned is nothing to me. On the whole earth, there's no comfort which I am capable of receiving. I know that the sympathy of a stranger can be but little relief to one borne down as you are by strange misfortune. But you will, I hope, soon quit this melancholy abode, for there's plenty to grant you the freedom to head out on your way. And I said, that is my least concern. I am, by course of strange events, it's going to get worse for me. Probably, I don't know if they should keep records of this. Of all mortals, none have endured or will endure as much as I. Nothing indeed could be more unfortunate and frowny than the strange chances that have lately occurred. Seems like you just showed up here on the shore by accident. This island, we're renowned for our hospitality, but this time we were not hospitable to you. Oh, no, 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 no. And then you were shown that your friend was sleeping, and you were the only one that realized they were headed to another realm. And so strange that they should be the one here waiting for you. As if placed by someone in your path. As Mr. Kerwin said, this notwithstanding what I view in retrospect, I also felt considerable surprise at the knowledge he seemed to possess concerning me. I suppose some astonishment was exhibited in my countenance, for Mr. Kerwin hastened to say, immediately upon your being taken under the weather, all papers that were on your person were brought to me, and I examined them that I might discover some trace by which I could send your relations an account of your misfortune and poor well-being. I found several letters, and among others, one which I discovered from its commencement to be from your father. I instantly wrote to Geneva. Nearly 2 months have elapsed since the departure of my letter, but you are under the weather. Even now you seem not to be able to endure any agitation of any kind. Obviously, this man knew not my resilience, so I told him this suspense is worse 1,000 times, like you making me wait versus all the events. Tell me now, what else has gone on that needs to make me frown? Withhold nothing. Well, your family's perfectly well, said Mr. Kerwin with gentleness, and someone, a friend, is come to visit you. I know not by what the chain of thought that the idea presented itself, but it instantly darted into my mind that the leaf-based being was the guest he spoke of, and he wanted me to get back to work for him, as I had promised multiple times, but, defied. And I put my hand before my eyes and said out, "Oh, take him away. I cannot see him. For God's sake, do not let him enter." Mr. Kerwin regarded me with a troubled countenance. He could not help regarding my exclamation as a presumption of my non-well-being, and in a rather severe tone said, "I should have thought, young man, that the presence of your father would have been welcome very much indeed, instead of inspiring such repugnance." "My father," I cried. Every muscle in my body was relaxed at once. I went from anguish to pleasure. Is my father indeed come? How kind, how very kind. But where is he? Why isn't he already here already? I mean, wait a second. He should be here right now, before you. My change of manner surprised and pleased the magistrate. Perhaps he thought that my former exclamation was a momentary return of my confusion, and now he instantly resumed his former benevolence. He rose and quitted the room with my nurse, and in a moment my father entered it. Nothing at this moment could have given me greater pleasure than the arrival of my father. I stretched out my hand to him and cried, "Are you then safe, Elizabeth, Ernest?" My father calmed me with assurances of their welfare and endeavored by dwelling on these subjects so interesting to my heart to raise my desponding spirits. But he soon got the sense that this, room was dingy too, even for him. Not an abode of cheerfulness. "What a place this is that you inhabit, my son," he said, looking mournfully at the lack of accoutrement around me. Not even fresh flowers. And how many servants do you have here? There's not even a lake for you to go out on whenever you feel like it, right outside your door. "Oh," my father said, "you traveled to seek happiness, but unluck seems to pursue you. No wonder you need to be so resilient. And poor Clerval," the name of my friend who was now sleeping in another realm, really, I said, "Pa, man, Dad, too much. Alas, yes, my father, I have a destiny of not a good one, not the destiny like Destiny's Child had. More like Destiny's headache for me, hanging over me. But yet I must fulfill it, otherwise I would be asleep. I tried to get an invite, and I couldn't even get one from anybody to sleep in another realm. And we were not allowed to converse for any length of time, because they couldn't see how resilient I was. They thought I needed constant tranquility. So Mr. Kerwin came in and insisted my strength should not be too exhausted by exertion. But the appearance of my father was to me like that of my good angel, and I gradually recovered my health. As my sickness quitted me, I was absorbed by a gloomy or gloomy melancholy that nothing could dissipate. I thought about all the good times I had with Clerval and all that Clerval had done for me. And the idea that he would prefer to be somewhere else than with me boggled my mind. More than once when I thought about it, like, wait a second. Who's going to run? I need a friend that serves me, not just a servant who serves me. And this agitated me, and reflections threw me, and people who were concerned, am I, going on and on and on about it. They said I can't, when I get like that, I say, alas, 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 alack, alack, alack. But why did they preserve, don't help me feel less miserable, I told them. This was my destiny, and soon I would move on, friendless, servantless, particularly without friends who, serve for free, out of the quality, Clerval served me out of the quality of my friendship. Soon, very soon, will all this, I don't know, no one knew the weight of the anguish that I had to carry, so much heavier than theirs, so heavy it could bear me to the dust, and in dealing with this justice, even mine, the most powerful of recoveries, would have to rest. But soon the appearance, I wouldn't quite say I forgot about Clerval, but Clerval became distant in my mind, although ever present in my thoughts, of what I was missing for me. Sometimes I would sit for hours, motionless and speechless, wishing for some revelation, to make it, because now it's like this leaf-based being, he's messed with him, something I can't quite replicate anymore. The season of the sizes approached, and it had already been 3 months around, and while I wasn't feeling great, and I had a tendency to go, say alas, alas, alack, nonstop, I was obliged to travel nearly 100 miles to a country town where the court was held. Now, Mr. Kerwin got to work in a similar manner, like when, people want to help me. He charged himself with every care of collecting witnesses and arranging my defense. And, of course, once they got an idea who I was, they spared me the disgrace of appearing publicly, even though the case was brought to the court. And they said, that's fine, because I was on the Orkney Islands when Clerval took his nappy poo on the beach. And a fortnight after that, they said I could do whatever I wished. My father was enraptured on me, that I have to live in this town that just wasn't up to our standards, right? And that I was again allowed to breathe the fresh atmosphere of my home country. But me, I didn't share these feelings. For me, both places were stifling, whether I was home and being served, or, in the place that was shabby to me, being served, the couple life tasted untasty to me. And although the sun shone upon me as it should, and as it did, but it also shone upon everybody else. And I said, what a ripoff. So I saw nothing around me that didn't perturb me. There was no light that could look upon me in such a way to help me as Clerval's eyes did. But I would think about his expressive eyes, wondering, looking up to me with adoration, almost like he was always applying to be my friend. And I said, well, if you just do this, this, and this. No, I don't want to do that. That look, like a mascot almost, to think those eyes would never look at me with adoration again, that his hands and his body would never run an errand for me again, that he would never have to wait for me again when I was running late, when I really wasn't running late. I just didn't feel like being on time. His eyelashes, how he would flutter his eyes when I woke. I said, what, are you sleeping? I told you not to fall asleep, but to wait for me. Man, I remember the first time I could tell, he lived within the palm of my hand, as so many would and so many do. Now, my father, he tried to get me, he said, oh, come on, man, let's go back to Geneva. Elizabeth is there, Ernst, but anytime he said anything, favorite foods, I would just groan, those great groans, those award-winning groans, deep, deep groans. And sometimes, indeed, I felt a wish for happiness and thought with melancholy delight of my beloved cousin, or longed, to see some plays and eat some food, to see once more the blue lake and the rapid Rhone, things so dear to me in early childhood. But in my general state of feeling was a torpor, which, I don't know, the shabby town maybe fit my new style, that this was welcome a residence as the divinest scene in nature. And, that this fit my melancholy. This was the melon of my melancholy, or the collie of my melancholy. And at these moments, I just endured to just stick around here and do nothing. Nothing, not at all. And also then other times I'd say, man, I got to spread some leaves around. I would go out and shout at trees. I don't remember any. I claim not to remember any of it. And I would tell the trees what I thought of them. This wasn't a big composting town, but anybody that did, I disrupted their composting. Yet one duty remained to me, the recollection of which finally triumphed under my, bad feelings in the moment. Because it was necessary that I should return without delay to Geneva, there to watch over everybody, of which they loved me so, and I loved that they loved me so fondly. I was fond of their fondness, and never going to give that up. Maybe I would go there and lie in wait for the leaf-based being, and if anybody, if any chance led me to the place where he was lying low, or if he dared again to come within my eyesight, oh boy, would I promise, don't you dare make eye contact with me, leaf-based being. I might, with unfailing focus, spread those leaves around not just town, but holy cow, you would become, whatever. I would make sure you went through the whole cycle of life, and you would be free of carbon and nitrogen so quickly. Recycling, I would do, because I thought of him and how he was a mockery of all I stood for. Now, my father, he didn't get it. He wanted to delay our departure. He said, son, you're still yelling at trees. You kick leaves, but in a way that scuffs your shoes. He didn't think I could, he didn't, of course, he didn't know what I had inside me. That he didn't think I could sustain the fatigues of a journey. He said he would just pat me on the back and say, why don't you sit down again? Like then I was the shadow of a human being. My strength was gone to him. I was just a mere presence sitting around and rambling all day. And again, I would go on these, it would get like, I'd say, don't speak to me of trees or vegetables or fruit. Oh boy, don't put a fruit in front of me. So, Father said, son, that's just a fruit, just eat it. Now you hold up the seeds and, all sorts of stuff like that, apparently, according to other people. They said, you can't go out, like, we can't just go to a show. Where are we going to stay even? And you do have, they would have to put fruits and vegetables and other foods for me. They would tell me that when I would ask, I guess they would tell me my food was minerals. I'd say, is this a vegetable? Is this organic? They'd say, oh, no, this is mineral. This is chopped up mineral, limestone. This is a key limestone pie we're serving you. The whole town, I guess, had to play in the charade. They should thank me for that, for teaching them to be so creative. But I guess my father was like, what do you want me to do? I can't go ahead to an inn and say, oh, no, by the way, all of your tomatoes are basalt or bay salt. When my son comes for dinner, or sup, as they would say some places. And I said, where are we anyway? He said, Ireland. I said, we got to get out of here. I got to get going. I had such inquietude and impatience. My father finally gave up and thought it best to yield. So we took a passage on board a vessel bound for Havre de Grace, and sailed with a fair wind from the Irish shores. It was midnight when we left. I lay on the deck looking at the stars and listening to the dashing of the waves. I hailed the darkness that shut Ireland from my sight, and my pulse beat with joy as I reflected that I soon would see Geneva. The past appeared to me in the light of, I said, this is like a dream. Yet the vessel in which I was, the wind that blew me from the shores of Ireland, which now I loathed, why I can't quite say, because I guess they didn't, that's where I had a resentment towards it, even though apparently now reading this, I see that they would say, what do you want us to do? We did the best we could with this guy. And then the sea was getting on my nerves too, surrounding me, and not showing me anything, deceiving my vision. And also when I was out there, I was thinking, there's no one doting on me like chlorophyll would. my friend, my dearest companion, and to think that the one who coaxed Clerval to sleep into another realm was a leaf-based being. So there I stood. I repassed in my memory my whole life, my quiet happiness, being quietly brilliant while residing with my family in Geneva. You know, then my mom, then I then I went to Ingolstadt, and then I remembered when, you know, brilliance came to my foremind, the creation of a leaf-based being, and I called to mind the first night that the leaf-based being became sentient. But from there, I was unable to pursue a train of thought because 1,000 feelings pressed upon me. Maybe I feel more, too. I don't know, maybe a normal person's like 100 feelings pressed upon them. Or maybe for me, it was 1,000. And whatever the record is, I probably have one or two more. But, you know, then tears, you know, some say that tough guys like me don't cry. But Victor did cry. Now, every night since, like at this town, they would also give me a small quantity of laudanum, which gave me the rest necessary. And I said, maybe I might take some laudanum and, and soon I was sleeping profoundly. Or so I thought, because sleep did not afford me respite from thought and brilliance. My dreams presented 1,001 objects that then I needed to process in the night as well. It was like my mind was an unceasing machine of brilliance and thought, but my mind didn't understand that it needed to be more like Clerval and serve my needs. So by the time morning came, I was I was in a bad mood again. And I felt leaves. I heard leaves. I felt leaves. And I started ranting about leaves and trees, saying there's trees on this yar ship. And my father, I guess, was there, tried to wake me up. And there was waves all around a cloudy sky. No leaf-based being, no leaves at all. And for a second, I had a sense of security, a feeling that a truce was established between the present hour and the irresistible future. And it imparted to me a kind of calm forgetfulness. Also, I was tired. What I need to remember anyway. And sometimes the human mind, I said, Clerval, who? I guess apparently my father started saying that over. Oh, what would you have for breakfast? I'd say, Clerval, who? I don't know what leaves you're talking about. Never met. What's your tree? Cambium? No. Compost? No. Commost. Com most of the time. No, I don't know what. Fruits and vegetables? I'm unfamiliar. Please tell me more. In that forgetfulness, but I now know it was another powerful thing within me. Probably that this is why I need to record all this, so people know that Victor Frankenstein or Victor Frankenstein possessed such qualities that, again, maybe you could just take a small dose of and will bring you, because then you don't have to endure all I've endured. For so few have that level of resistance, or what was it called again? The plasticity of my mind in your modern terms is nothing like that. You soon you will understand better. Rest well. Good night. All right, everybody, this is Scoots. This is a tuck you in message. And as I start this message out, I want to make this very clear, especially if you're listening right now and you're new. You only listen to this show occasionally, like once in a while when you need it, or you're just having a tough time right now, getting through something, getting over something, the kind of things I talk about in the intro. Or if you're like me, a lot of times in my life where things financially felt challenging and supporting the show just isn't possible. You really don't need to do anything. You don't need to support the show directly or be concerned because we really do have you. And I'm going to read through some testimonials of people that support the show for them and for you. And those testimonials are just a few of the thousands of people that support the show so it can be here for people that can't support the show, or it really wouldn't make sense if you're only listening occasionally, if you're new, for you to support the show. So we have you covered. Like the listeners who I'm going to read through tonight, and like I'm trying to return to doing, we've done in the past, they're the reason the show can be here night after night, and that you don't have to worry about it. But before we get to those testimonials, there is a BUT, right? If you are listening right now and you normally listen all night long to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 episodes a night, or you listen most nights during the week, if you fall asleep fast and you just happen to be hearing this, or you've been listening longer than a year, if the show is a big part of your evenings, your wind down, and your sleep, you know, that's where I've been trying to be more and more clear and direct. I love making this podcast. The people that work with the show, work on the show, love making it. I love being a service, trying to bring sleepy joy and delight, help you fall asleep, bring you comfort in the deep, dark night. But the only way that happens is if you're in one of those listener categories, is if people that listen the same way as you do support the show. And we all go through seasons, right? So maybe you had your season of supporting the show, or maybe your season of supporting the show's coming up, or maybe you're like, well, I'm not sure. Let me look outside and see what I think. Or maybe you're hoping like that someone else will support the show, because it is either you or someone that listens like you supporting the show, or it's no one supporting the show tonight, right? It's either an all-night listener other than you, or you, the all-night listener, you, the multiple nights a week listener, you, the person that's been listening, or someone else that listens just like you, or it's just to be clear, like that's really what keeps the show going and impacts ups and downs of the show. So I don't know if tonight's your night. If you are in a position to support the show, you've been putting it off, maybe think about supporting it right now at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. And don't wait for tomorrow or set some kind of thing tomorrow. Or kind of like me, think fondly of the person that we're both hoping steps up tonight, that all-night listener. That person that falls asleep fast, somebody that's been listening 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, or someone that's here every night with us. But who has you guys? You know, who's in the community supporting the show for everyone? Well, Melissa is. Melissa's been listening for over 2 years now, nearly nightly. So a nearly nightly listener. And it helps so much and puts me in a very relaxed mood. I finally subscribed when I realized on most nights I didn't have my phone with me, but I could literally recite the beginning of the podcast in my head. And even that in my head almost worked. And the reason I didn't do it sooner was part of it was cost, but now I'm in a financial place to do so. But the other part was complacency. I think forgetting to do it when I inevitably would fall asleep. I've always been one of the super listeners described on the show, and I kept putting it off. And I think that came from a place of having all free podcasts. I think it was just truly complacency. I think you say it well on the podcast. This show has given me so much support and help. It's time to turn around and support you and the team. It feels nice to feel like we have a hand in keeping it afloat, and that is really true. And Taylor also supported the show, and Taylor said, I'm an adult, late 20s, early 30s, go through brief periods of insomnia that last around a month, and I tried Sleep With Me on a friend's recommendation and bounced off it. It wasn't until a few years later when I was really struggling that I tried it again and it worked. And I found the ads distracting and decided to try out ad-free ones by supporting the show and found this version worked perfectly. The monthly cost is small compared to the benefit I get from the show. And even when my insomnia quiets down a bit, I still enjoy listening to the show because I like listening to Scooter. So thanks, Taylor. And then Stephanie. Stephanie has been listening for about 8 years. And I had the same experience Scooter just describes all the time. I tried the podcast and disliked it. I just didn't get it yet. And then later I was traveling. I thought I'd give her another try, and I've been listening since. And I really like the references on the show, some of the personal stories, and I can fall asleep really quickly now, and that's completely worth supporting the show. And I put on Sleep With Me also to make me feel more comfortable in other times. I just feel like I spend so much money on things that have no meaning in my life. This show means much more to me that I can't help but being a supporter. In the past, I felt like other people would take care of it for me, like there was people with limitless money who should be doing it for the rest of us. But once I really thought about how I spend my money and my deep relationship with the show, I realized I am one of the very few people who should be a supporter. It took a while, but I did so 3 years ago. I feel like I'm probably one of those super listeners. Scooter works hard for us, and hard work deserves fair compensation. And what about Debbie, who said, I listen almost every night, sometimes all night. I try to keep my queue full. I especially like the Trader Joe's episodes, and I feel comforted by a familiar voice. That's why I support Sleep With Me as a bore bestie, and it seems like a good value. The obstacle to me supporting the show was remembering to do so. Was to remember to do it once I decided to support this podcast. And if I feel responsible, free is great. But if something has worth, it's also important to support it financially. So thanks, Melissa, Taylor, Stephanie, and Debbie for supporting the show. It wouldn't exist without listeners like you. And maybe you relate to it. Maybe you're the person tonight, the Taylor, Stephanie, Debbie, Melissa tonight, that'll support the show. And when you do, I believe it or not, I send out a video and I ask you why. So I'm looking forward to hearing your why of why you support the show. Thanks.